Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on a Monday morning. That means that it is time to start sketching with coffee. We're not actually sketching with coffee, we're drinking coffee while we're sketching. So it's a terminology issue. Today we've got this little biplane stunt plane that I would give anything to trade for a hammerhead shark like we did yesterday, because they are super less complicated. This isn't complicated, this is just more detailed than the hammerhead shark was, and at the same time less detailed because it's a toy. It's more of a toy. This actually looks more like a toy stunt plane than the hammerhead looked like a real hammerhead. The hammerhead was way more realistic looking. Yeah, that's pretty close. The hammerhead was way more realistic looking, and it but it was still just more tube shaped than this. This is a little more involved, but we don't really care. Just have to make sure and get the composition part down first, make sure everything fits where it's supposed to go. My phone decided last night to give up the ghost. It was like 11:30 last night. All of a sudden my screen just blaringly bright green, like a neon sign in my bedroom, and it's shining over here on the side of my face, casting off light. Hopefully not affecting my shadows. I don't think it's affecting my shadows. There's a little bit of perspective going on here, where this wing is just microscopically larger on this side than it is on that side. And there's an ellipse there. I don't know. I can fight with that. I've got all day to fight with that. Right now I need to finish getting the thing on the paper. Make sure the whole thing fits on the paper where I want it to fit. It's very easy to get lost in the details before you're ready to get lost in the details. But I think it's going to fit. Raise your hand if you've ever been on a biplane before. I don't know that I have. I know when I was a child, my parents had a friend that got their pilot license, and he was excited to take everybody out on a plane ride. And so my parents dragged me out in the middle of the night. I think my dad thought maybe he had an opportunity to sell me internationally, but that didn't happen. But we got up in the middle of the night for a midnight plane ride. But I don't remember if that was a biplane or not. don't remember at all if that was a biplane. That should be a little more forward, because that other wing comes right through there. Yeah, like that. Just like that. Now we've got a lot of stray lines to take care of. This side over here, however, is not, there's a gap here, but there's not really much of a gap there. So going down the rabbit hole last night on these biplanes, this was the most stable formation of wings until the 30s, because the materials available at the time made this formulation, because the attachment is here, the cables that attached it stopped the wings from warbling as it would fly, and helped to maintain control. Yeah, see, that should be way back there. That's the first problem I have to address, is that should be way back there, because this should be smaller and shorter, or all the rest of this should be bigger, or both. What I really thought was interesting was, like with the automobiles we were talking about the other day, the Wright brothers had the first flight at Kitty Hawk in 1903. By 1913, we had races and acrobatic events. It didn't take them 10 years. 10 years after the invention of the thing, and guys are already, hold my beer. There isn't background music. I am recording, thank you. But I'm recording to that broken phone. We were talking about my broken phone. My phone, before we started last night about 11 o'clock, my phone decided that was when the screen needed to quit working. Alright, I'm going to clean up some of these stray lines before I get so carried away that I can't see what I'm doing anymore. That music seems really loud to me. Is it loud to you? Yes, it is loud. I thought so. I thought so. It may have just been the song, though. Because it was the finale of the song. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. So yeah, 1903, the Wright brothers fly at Kitty Hawk. 1913, they've got races. They already have races going on where guys are like, hold my beer, I can go faster, I can go higher. I always think that's funny. This is too wide. I always think it's funny. It's a brand new invention, and we're already competing with it, trying to push its limits and see how fast we can go. Yeah, crop dusters are about the only thing. My mom's in the chat saying this plane reminds her of crop dusters. Crop dusters are about the only thing they still use these for. The only thing they still use biplanes for are crop dusters and stunt shows. That is the only two things they still use them for, because by 1930s, by the mid 30s, they developed the materials to make a single winged plane, a monoplane, more efficient, stronger, because these things, while being more maneuverable, they weren't very fast or strong. And so they're great for sports like races, or they're great for sports like races or aerobatics, but they're not very good for flight, for sustained flight. and so they were replaced by the 30s. They were replaced. And what I really think is interesting is they had the wing walkers that would go out and stand on the wings, and I thought that they still did that sort of thing, but it turns out the United States made that illegal in the 30s, under 1,500 feet. So the aerobatic people couldn't do it anymore. Really, it couldn't effectively do it anymore because the crowds can't see the planes over 1,500 when they're over 1,500 feet. So there was no point. And so the practice pretty much stopped. Now they have to use harnesses and perform their sky transfers with a harness. But reading about the crazy people that did the skywalking was just like Lindbergh started his career as a skywalker, walking out on the wings of a plane. Charles Lindbergh. Started out as a skywalker. The first African American woman to get her pilot's license started out as a skywalker, a parachutist. Most of the prominent figures in aviation history that we're familiar with, a lot of them started off as people who walked on the edges of airplane wings. I get dizzy walking on the curb. Hi, Elizabeth. I get dizzy walking on the curb, so you're not going to catch me out on an airplane wing. But it's like they're completely fearless. The people that did this stuff are completely fearless. This is one of those mornings where I'm not sure I'm going to be able to finish the drawing in time. I'm already worried about time because it is a complicated little toy here. We'll get as far as we can. We may finish. Who knows? But the guys that did this sort of thing, the men and women that, there's a word for that, people. When you want to say men and women, we actually have a word in the English language that covers that. It's called people. The people that did that sort of thing, just absolutely fearless. So many of the details get lost in the shadows. Alright, now this whole thing is blue, so it is darker than the red of the plane. But the plane is not white. Alright, let's clean up some of those lines. We'll work on drop shadows. You notice the little hands? I bought those. It came in a package of 30. And what I thought might be fun to do is take one full set of them. There's a peace sign, there's a pointy sign, pointy finger sign, there's the clapping hands, there's a fist. I thought I might take one full set of them, put them in a white box, put them in a box with a white interior, shake them up, open the box, and draw them how they land. And then I'm giving one set of them to my beautiful young bride. And then I'm going to put the rest of them in the randomogrifier. That's the goal. Yeah, how to tell you've drawn something too big without actually saying you've drawn something too big. Of course, I said that I've drawn something too big, so I actually said it. Because that shadow comes right there. See, the shadow is almost as detailed as the drawing is, as the object itself this time. But you can see more of the toy features in the shadow, like the wings are not straight. The wings kind of look straight from our perspective, but in the shadow you can really see they're not. So, and then the other thing is the plane wings are darker than the shadow, but the shadow is almost the same as the red. So we have to make sure that the plane wings remain darker than the shadow. But that the shadow is darker than the red. It sounds so much easier when you just, yeah, we'll just do it. It's just two things, right? And then the further away that you get from the plane, the lighter the shadow gets. But like this shadow is actually closer to its wing, so it's actually a little darker than the rest of the shadow, but still lighter than the wing. And then you have all this reflective light inside the wing itself. These shadows are together, but they're actually two separate shadows overlapping. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's already 5:58. I gotta get a move on. Now, see, this is a rookie mistake right here. I did some cross hatching across there, and it made that that brace shadow darker than that wing shadow, and they should actually be the same. That's a rookie mistake. It will lead your eye to believe that that's a detail that's not there. Can't talk, Harding. Alright, now we need to come back in. We need to lift some of this out of this propeller. Somehow our propeller got lost. Just this one edge down this bottom propeller. Then we have a whole big chunk of highlight here in this upper propeller. That's pretty close, actually. This should be just a little darker right here. I think I'm gonna have to call it though, because it is after 6. So I think I'm gonna have to call it this morning. I can't be late because I have to leave to get my phone fixed. And I do everything with my phone. My day job has me using my phone as a GPS and a way to stay in touch with my team. I edit videos and posts all day long with my phone. My dad has decided to give up his smartphone, and I find that commendable. I've thought many times about having a different device for all of that other stuff, and then just going to a flip phone for the actual phone part of it. Many times I've thought about that. But yeah, we have to call it. Because I have to go to work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you the photograph today. I can't even get my camera to eject. And I'll show you why. Look at my screen. My screen is just neon. So I'm not going to be able to do anything. So we'll have to figure it out. But we can get pretty close by doing this, I think. Actually, there we go. I can put you next to the saved image, and you can see it's pretty close. It's close enough for government work for sure. I could darken this shadow in a little more. So that it reads more as a shadow. So that's about as close as we can get though, because again, with the phone. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. You know I look forward to it every day. We'll be here again tomorrow morning at 5:30 during the sketch and coffee live sessions, and who knows what it'll be tomorrow. And hopefully my phone will work tomorrow and we'll be able to share better pictures. So peace out everybody. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing, because that's how we know that the lag has caught up.